Welcome everyone to SIEU's webinar on for-profit higher education. We have a few people here in the audience and more people watching us online, so welcome to everybody. Today what we're going to do is take a look at the for-profit sector in the United States. We have a panel of people that many of them have very personal experiences regarding for-profit higher education that they'll be relating to us. The point of this, the reason why SEIU is involved with this is because they have many members that match the for-profit higher education market. They're interested in consumer education, interested in providing more public information about the sector so that people can understand a little bit more clearly what it's about. We have the panel here, as might be obvious from the name of the panel, but is explicitly critical of the for-profit sector. And so you'll hear a lot of criticisms about what goes on. My job here is to make sure that the criticisms are fair and that we are really focused not so much on enumerating so many of the problems, but also keeping focused on what some solutions to this might be. And so keeping a focus on solutions as well as outlining the problems. But these solutions are going to be both student-focused solutions and public policy solutions. And then there's also a big question that's going to be hanging over this as well. To what extent are these problems systemic to the sector? In other words, these are problems that are because these are for-profit institutions. And what extent are these problems that are related to a few bad apples or people operating on the margins of acceptability in terms of what we think about for educational institutions. And so when we think about this as being good for Wall Street, why is this so good for Wall Street? And when we discuss issues about it being bad for students, in what instances is it bad for students? How and why is it bad for students in particular sorts of circumstances? And thinking through how we might figure out ways of addressing that. So with that, let me introduce myself, and I will I'll speak just one more moment. We are going to have a Q&A that's part of this webinar as well, that will be asking for questions both from the audience and from our online viewers as well. So let me turn now to introducing myself and having the members of the panel introduce themselves. I am Kevin Kinzer. I'm an associate professor in educational administration and policy studies at the State University of New York. My research is on for-profit higher education. So unlike many of the people here on this panel, I have not taken a pro or con view of the sector. I merely am looking at it as another opportunity for students within the higher education universe and asking the same sorts of questions about it as we would ask about any other institution of higher education. What sort of students does it enroll? What kind of academic model? How does it make its money and continue as an organization? Let me now turn to the panel, and maybe we'll just go down the line and have everybody give a brief introduction of themselves, and then we'll start with the content of the panel. Thank you.
My name is Jeremy Den. For 5 years, I was an adjunct instructor in the Denver area, and in that capacity, I taught at the University of Colorado, which is a state school. I taught at the University of Denver, which is a private nonprofit school, and I taught at the Art Institute of Colorado, which is a for-profit school. So I had maybe somewhat unique opportunity to look at those three systems as an instructor within all three of them at the same time. And I guess why I'm here is I eventually wrote an op-ed piece that was published in the New York Times about that experience.
Thank you.
My name is Kathleen Biddle. For 3 years I was a recruiter for the Argosy University brand for EDMC, as well as a career service advisor for the Art Institute brand. In addition to that, I also was a student at Argosy University Online, as well as the Art Institute Online and the Art Institute on ground. I suppose the reason that I'm here is that I've been very vocal about the things that I saw that I felt were wrong in the Career Services Department, and did testify before the Senate Help Committee on this issue.
Hi, my name is Barmak Nasirian. I am with the American Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers. My organization has about 2,300 degree-granting institutions of higher education as its members. This includes private, public, for-profit, 2-year, 4-year. So we're very broad and ecumenical. As the organization's name suggests, we represent two specific administrative functions on campus in particular, namely registration and admissions. and it is under the jurisdiction of both of those functions that we have gotten involved in the for-profit policy debate. Because when you think about it, admissions people are consumers of credentials. So they are the folks who receive transcripts, receive students putatively with undergraduate degrees or with 2 years worth of credits they've worked on and paid for, who then have to evaluate them and figure out what they're truly worth. And of course, my registrar constituency is very concerned about academic integrity and the validity of credentials and how they comport with what happened in the classroom. And that's how we got involved in the for-profit policy discussion, is because we have become increasingly alarmed that there may be no there, that there is all the kinds of hubbub on the outside in terms of practices that look like education, with the one thing missing being actual teaching and learning in the classroom itself, and in that way we become involved.
Good afternoon. I'm Asamudia James. I'm an associate professor at the University of Miami School of Law. I write and teach about education issues, and a focus of mine in recent months has been on for-profit education and how institutions implicate issues of opportunity and inequality in higher education. Although I am an academic, I'm not neutral on for-profits. I participated in a Room for Debate conversation about for-profits, and also recently published an article criticizing the industry.
Good morning, my name is Jose Cruz. I am the Vice President for Higher Education Policy and Practice at the Education Trust. The Ed Trust is a research and advocacy organization that speaks up for low-income students and students of color who, unfortunately, rarely do they have a voice in the educational policy debates that have so much impact on their future lives. The Ed Trust has a long history of holding institutions accountable, both at the K-12 sector and higher ed. And a little over a year and a half ago, given that 1 out of every 4 low-income students and 1 out of every 4 students of color are starting their post-secondary careers at the for-profit sector and institutions in the for-profit sector, that's when we decided that we also had to take a look at the industry, and that is why we're here today.
My name is Michael DiGiacomo. I'm a former student of 2 for-profit colleges. I actually attended and graduated from Gibbs College in Boston, which is run by Career Education Corp. From 2003 until 2005, and then after that, I went to the New England Institute of Art, which is one of the art institutes, which is run by Education Management Corporation. As a former student and an advocate now for students like myself, I've done some notes for myself here. Not really done this live before. I've amassed over $83,000 worth of debt, in student debt, from both schools, and thanks to basically for the for-profit industry. I speak on behalf of myself and hundreds of other people that have gone through the for-profit colleges all over the U.S. I'm a veteran of the Army, the U.S. Army, and the Massachusetts Army National Guard. I speak now so that others don't go through the financial issues that I've now faced, thanks to that particular product, I guess you can call it. That's fine.
My name is Suzanne Lawrence. I'm a former recruiter for Argosy University Online, and I'm here today because I feel like my experience puts me in a unique position of being able to kind of speak to some of the abuses that are happening in these organizations and are considered, business as usual. That's all.